In the starting, we're introduced to a realm of rovers, the looters of the ocean. The biggest corsair there was arrested moment. The head of the marine force, i.e. the ocean army, was going to discipline him moment by killing him. So he's brought in front of everyone, so that everyone can get advice to see his death. And after moment, no bone can come a corsair. All the rovers in this world should be killed, because this corsair was the biggest and utmost dangerous corsair at that time, because he'd stolen a lot of treasure in his life and hidden it in a special place. And that corsair tells everyone that I've hidden a lot of treasure in the ocean. That is why I tell everyone to go to the ocean and find my treasure. Now people are so happy to hear this. They start raising taglines for him, because people now had the passion to find the treasure. Now seeing this, the head of the marine base tells them to kill the corsair incontinently, on which two dog faces put their big rods in him and the corsair dies there. But now all the people start going from there to find that treasure. That means now they had decided to come a corsair. Seeing this, the head of the marine base gets veritably angry, because his plan was reversed. He wanted the rovers to be killed, but after the death of that corsair, now a lot of rovers had come forward, and now they went to find the treasure of that big corsair. After this, we're shown the story of 22 times latterly. We see the idol of the story in the boat, whose name is Luffy. Luffy was also going to find the treasure of that corsair, because he wants to be the biggest corsair in the ocean. And he has come a long way in his trip. But the boat in which he was riding, now water had started coming into it, because he was traveling for numerous days. Now he doesn't drown, so he snappily goes and sits in a barrel. All his stuff started floating in the water, and the barrel in which he was hiding. But then, at least he was saved from drowning. But also his barrel, while floating, reaches between the vessels of two rovers. The two vessels were fighting each other. Now then, the captain of the big boat was a woman. To catch her, the marine base had kept a big price. She, along with her companions, also attacks the people of the other boat. She kills them one by one and makes them captures. She also brings them to her boat. The captain's companions also start sacking the stuff of the other boat and bringing it into their boat. They also pick up that barrel and bring it to their boat, on which Luffy was hiding. As soon as night falls, Luffy comes out of the barrel, but a boy who was an internee sees him coming out, and he gets spooked seeing Luffy and shouts. Luffy puts his hand on his mouth and makes him quiet, and says, "Don't be hysterical, I'll not harm you." After which, Luffy tells him about himself. Then we're shown Luffy's non-age scene, and we know that he was fond of getting a corsair since non-age. Luffy also liked an idol of rovers, who was also a corsair himself, and Luffy allowed of him as his own idol. Now when the corsair idol comes back with his platoon, Luffy tells him, "Please include me in your platoon." On he replies that, "Son, you're still youthful. You aren't indeed ready to come a corsair, because this job is veritably dangerous." Now after hearing this, Luffy got agitated. He goes to the loftiest point of the boat and takes everyone's attention to him, and also stabs his face with a cutter and makes a mark, so that he can show everyone that I'm no longer a child and can come a corsair. The story comes back to the present time, where Luffy was telling all this to that internee boy. That boy asks him, "How can you conjure of getting a corsair? Because being a corsair isn't similar a special thing." On which Luffy replies that no, it's veritably good to be a corsair, because by getting a corsair, you can travel the ocean with your musketeers. You can go on an adventure, and either no bone says anything to the rovers. They're free. That is why I'm so happy to come a corsair. The internee boy says I also want to be free, but the captain of this boat has locked me then, and she'll now let me be free. The sound of the captain's snoring was so loud. Luffy asks, "What's this? What kind of sound is this? Have you kept an ocean monster then?" And they wake up from sleep, after which the captain also comes then. Now the captain thinks that the internee boy was cheating me. He was also running down from then. That is why she attacks both of them with her armament. She hits the internee boy first, but Luffy comes forward and puts her armament away, and saves the internee boy. After which, he starts fighting alone with the captain and her companions. Although the captain's companions fire at him, but not a single pellet can harm Luffy. Seeing this, the captain gets angry, and she picked up her heavy armament and hits Luffy in the stomach. But surprise! Then Luffy pulls his body by making it elastic, and therefore he's saved from her attack. Seeing this, the captain is relatively surprised. How did he make his body elastic? And also, Luffy makes his hands long and elastic, and goes to the other side of the boat. Also, the captain also comes there. She attacks him again with her armament, but Luffy moves back, and also, the boat's wheel breaks, and there's a fire. Seeing all this, the captain becomes furious. She was angry with the internee boy. That is why she attacks him with her armament. But also Luffy comes forward. The armament hit his head. His head was crushed, but surprise, nothing happened to him. After which Luffy uses his most dangerous move, that is, his stylish way to kill. He makes his hands long and elastic and makes a big punch, and he attacks the captain with it, due to which the captain falls far into the ocean, and her work is over. Now seeing Luffy's powers, all those people are relatively surprised and spooked. That is why they gave up. Now Luffy was veritably happy with his deeds, and he was going to leave with the internee boy. Now let's see a swordsman whose job is to catch rovers and kill them. Now a man came then who was a legionnaire. He tells the swordsman to join him, but he easily refuses. Hearing the turn down, the legionnaire started fighting with the swordsman. Now he was a veritably good swordsman. He snappily moves his brands and fights the legionnaire. And also, at one point, he used his brands veritably fluently. He cuts the legionnaire and cuts him into 2 pieces, and in this way, the swordsman won this fight. Luffy and the internee boy had left that boat, and now they were moving forward in a small boat, because he saved Luffy's life, and Luffy returned the favor by saving his. That is why they come musketeers. The internee boy was relatively surprised to see his powers. That is why he asks Luffy, "Where did you get the power of getting flexible?" To which he tells him that in my non-age, when the Corsair idol refused to include me in his platoon. Also, I got angry and ate a special kind of fruit. After this, I got the power to come flexible, because when the Corsair idol held my hand, I moved forward from there, and my hand came long and came flexible. Also, the internee boy asks, "Now where are we going?" Luffy tells him that we're going to the Grand Line. That is, the same place where the treasure of the great Corsair is hidden. That boy asks, "Do you know the way to the Grand Line?" To which Luffy replies, "No, I do not know." But now that boy says, "I also have a dream like you. I actually want to..." Now in the meantime, we see a girl named Nami in the ocean, who was in her boat, and her condition was bad. She was about to die, because she was feeling a lot of weakness. When she opened her eyes, she saw a big boat there, which had 2 boys, when Nami asks for help from them. But also, she sees that these 2 are rovers. That is why she tries to cover the box in her boat with a cloth. It felt like there was commodity precious in it. Seeing this, the 2 boys get off their boat, come to Nami's boat, and try to open that box and see. As soon as they opened the box, there was nothing in it. Now when the boys saw over, also Nami steals their boat and runs down from there, because she did all this drama so that the boys come in her boat, and she can run down after taking their boat. And now Nami also comes to the near marine base. There Luffy and the internee boy were sitting in a hostel and eating, where the swordsman also comes. A girl makes food for him with her own hands, but also the ill-mannered son of the marine captain comes then. He abductions the food from the girl's hand and drops it down and crushes it with his own bases, after which he behaves veritably poorly with the girl. The girl was veritably worried. The swordsman didn't like this. That is why he tells the son of the marine captain to apologize to the girl, on which the ill-mannered boy laughs and says, "What did you say? I apologize to this girl? No way." Saying this, he takes out the brand. Seeing this, the swordsman also takes out his brand. Just by hitting him a couple of times, he defeats him. Seeing this, some other people also come to the swordsman to fight him, but he kicks one and drops him. He hits one's head on the table. He holds the arms of 2 men. Also, Nami also comes then. She also hits a man's head on the table and injures him and takes him away. Now the locked boy was veritably spooked. Hiding under the table, he was watching all this, while Luffy was enjoying this fight a lot. The swordsman killed all the marine dog faces, after which he catches the son of the marine captain. He was about to kill him. That is when the boy says, "Please leave me. I'm the captain's son. I'll give you whatever you ask for." Hearing this, the swordsman leaves him for now, and his pater comes to the marine captain to take his price, because his duty was also to kill the rovers. But the marine captain says, "First, you have to give me the price, which is that you have to be locked with me for 7 days." On this, the swordsman says, "However, your son will die first if you try to immure me." Hearing this, the son of the marine captain gets angry and tells his pater, "Dad, what are you doing? Give him the plutocrat." But his pater hits him and throws him down. Now the Marine captain tells the swordsman, after this act of yours, no Marine base will give you a price, no matter how numerous rovers you can kill. Now you have two options. Either you work with us. Now the coming day, Luffy also comes then, to steal the chart of the Grand Line. Luffy came from a small way, upon observing that the swordsman is securely bound in that position. Also, he opens his ropes and frees him, and goes back from the way he came from. There Nami steals a marine officer's livery, wears it, and goes outside, because she also came then to steal the chart of the Grand Line. But when she was looking for the chart, also two marine officers come outside, and fate her that Nami isn't a marine officer. In fact, she's only wearing a livery, so they attack her. But she also moved ahead, snappily. She wraps the manly officer in her leg and drops him down, and attacks the womanish officer from the road, and finishes her work. During this time, after breaking the roof, Luffy also comes then, because he heard everything, and now they both came to know that we've come then to steal the chart of the Grand Line. Now Luffy starts going to the Marine captain's office, because the chart of the Grand Line is kept there. Also, Nami also starts following him. But also suddenly the Marine captain comes in front of them, and because Nami was wearing a livery, so he considers her a Marine officer. Nami tells him then that actually I've just locked this internee, so I was going to put him in jail. Hearing this, the captain leaves from then. But then we saw that Nami is veritably cunning. She had cut the Marine captain's fund, and now the keys to his office had come to them. So now they both open the cinch with the keys and enter his office. Independently, they start looking for the chart of the Grand Line. The Marine captain now comes to the place where those two officers were lying, who Nami had just beaten. Both the officers tell the Marine captain that the girl with red hair, that's Nami. She isn't a Marine dog face. In fact, she has entered then. She's a corsair. Hearing this, the Marine captain flashed back that she has gone to my office. That is why he rings an exigency alarm then. But then Luffy holds the safe tightly. Nami comes behind him and grabs him tightly. Then Luffy uses his elastic power, pulls and stretches his arms, and both of them jump and come out of there with the safe. Both of them had come then safely, but also the Marine officers come there and compass them from all sides. But then Luffy and Nami face them veritably bravely. Luffy pushes them down with his fists, while Nami beats them with a rod and kills them. And also, the swordsman also comes then with his brands. He sees that Luffy and Nami, they're both children, and are getting beaten by them. That is why he also jumps into this fight to help them. As soon as a dog face moves forward to kill him, he kicks him and puts him away, and also jumps and falls on an officer's face. He hits the other with a brand. That is when the Marine captain comes then. He'd come to fight them because he'd a blade armament in his hand, with which he attacks them. But also Luffy and the swordsman come in front and start fighting him. Although the swordsman was fighting him with his two brands, but the Marine captain was veritably stalwart. He was also getting heavier. That is why the swordsman also has to take out his third brand. Then Luffy also uses his elastic power. He makes his arm long and faces him, but the Marine captain also catches his hand fluently. Now, the swordsman puts his third brand in his mouth and starts fighting the captain with two brands. As soon as he hits the captain with one brand, he jumps and falls far down. And now then Luffy also uses his special move. That is, by making the arm long. By making a big punch, he hits the captain on the face, with which he also falls far down and fell there. And now, eventually, they were saved from the Marine army and the Marine captain, because of which they were veritably happy. The son of the Marine captain comes then with ordnance, but also the internee boy also comes then, and he hits him hard on his face and makes him unconscious. Luffy is veritably happy to see him. That you have come then too. And now he also thinks of taking him with him, because now the Marine army was after them. On which the internee boy says that, no, you go, I'll stay then. And now he takes Nami and the swordsman in that boat and leaves from there. Now we see the head of the Marine base again, who had caught the biggest corsair 22 times ago and had penalized him. Now the head of the base finds out that someone from their Marine base has stolen the chart of the Grand Line. Knowing this, the head of the Marine base gets veritably worried, and now he also comes to this Marine base. Now we were shown a Joker, who was also a corsair, and he also wanted the chart of the Grand Line. That is why he sends his people behind Luffy to steal that chart. There, Luffy, Nami, and the swordsman were moving ahead of the boat. Then, happily, Nami opens the safe, from which they get the chart of the Grand Line, seeing which they come veritably happy. Then Nami tells Luffy and the swordsman that the ocean of the world is positioned in 4 corridor, and the line of the land that's coming to the ocean. They were just talking, and they felt a movement from the outside, because actually, the rovers of the Joker had attacked their boat. His rovers were in the sky. They spread the gas of unconsciousness from there. As soon as the gas went inside the people, they also come unconscious by smelling it before getting unconscious then. Luffy had seen those rovers. That is why he snappily hid the chart of the Grand Line in his mouth, after which he came unconscious. After that, when these 3 came to their senses, now as the box opens, also these 3 are on a stage where the Joker and his companions were showing the show. The followership then were captures. By making them slaves, they were being forced to crack then. Now the captain of all this comes then. As soon as he sees him, Luffy recognizes that he's a corsair. There's also a lot of price for it. Luffy tells the Joker then, "See, veritably soon, I'm going to be the king of rovers," on which the Joker says with a smile, "Oh, you'll come, the king of rovers. Just see, I'll come, when I'll steal the chart of the Grand Line, and I'll get that treasure." Also, after saying this, the Joker asks him for the chart of the Grand Line, but also the cunning Nami comes in front and says, "What are you talking about the chart? Do you know? We've commodity further than a chart." Saying this, she takes Luffy's cap and throws it up in the air. Now, as everyone's attention went up, she gets a chance and runs down